to Season 2 of Pasco Podcast, a series where we discuss leadership in public service. We'd like to thank our sponsors, the 550,000 plus residents of Pasco County, as represented by the Board of County Commissioners. It's through their trust and empowerment of our workforce and leadership team that we're able to bring you this podcast. We created this podcast to help public servants build leadership skills and leverage them for success by sharing the experiences of our peers.
Hi, I'm Dan Biles, and welcome to our 17th episode of Pasco Podcast. Joining us today is Facility Management Director Andrew Baxter and Facilities Maintenance Supervisor Vito Tambasco. Did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
And not only that, but our recently recognized Leader of the Year for Pasco County. So congratulations on that. Very well done. I see your team out there doing great things all over the county, so we appreciate that.
Well, thank you very much.
So welcome. Again, just want to have a conversation kind of about leadership in public service, and what we do. And, y'all work kind of in a support role, right? Behind the scenes, doing work to let others be successful. So we'll talk a little bit about that and how you go about getting your team involved in that. So let's just kind of kick it off. Tell us a little bit, if you don't mind, a little bit kind of about yourself and then how you came to Pasco.
Yeah. So I'll get started, and then Vito, who's been here much longer than I have, can tell you the real history.
Right.
So I've been with Pasco County government for the last 15 years. I started in kind of a project coordinator role, coming in and managing our computerized maintenance management system and some of the other aspects of our department that are kind of support functions within our department. Rose through the ranks, started managing our contracts and our specifications and some of our outside vendors. Had the opportunity then to be promoted to a supervisory position, and then had an opportunity. Our director retired, and had an opportunity to serve in that acting capacity for about a year, and then ultimately another director was selected, but that was a great learning opportunity for me as well. It allowed me to be coached and mentored under a really great leader who's with the organization in a much higher role now as one of our assistant county administrators. And through that, then I was able to be promoted to the director position when he ascended to his current role.
Right. So. All right, cool. Thanks. So 15 years here.
Yeah.
So you've kind of seen some transitions over time.
Been through 3 county administrators, seen the differences in leadership styles and multiple different commissions and how they're organized, right. and seen the evolution of our entire organization firsthand. And it's really wonderful to see.
Right. Cool. Thanks.
Originally from New York City, born and raised there. And I went to school, I became an auto mechanic, went to auto mechanic school. And from there, my parents decided to move to Florida and I stayed behind. So being kind of young, right out of high school, you really learn what it's like to take care of yourself. Then a couple of years later, my father did start getting ill and wound up with open heart surgery and didn't do good. So I came down to Florida to help them out with the family business. And from there, he backed out of the family business because of health. So I decided, well, I didn't want to do that no more. So I took a job at the county back in September of '89. Okay. So I'm here a little bit over 30, I'm in my 33rd year.
Okay.
And like Andrew, I've seen a lot of, I've seen when this place was all trailers, about 25 trailers on the property. And I've seen the buildings go up and so forth. And I've been with facilities for the whole time. And I'm proud to say I've been with facilities. It's a great organization. Actually, under Andrew's leadership, it became way better than what it ever has been. So I appreciate what he's done.
Right. Yeah. So, and you mentioned the director. You learned Eric does a great job now with us running all internal services. And I've learned a lot from him as well. And to a certain extent, we're kind of similar, but we're also different too. So that's really good. So let's talk a little about leadership. And leadership philosophy. So kind of, what's your leadership philosophy? How do you lead your teams? How do you get them to buy in?
Yeah. So for me, what I try to create within facilities and even in anything that I'm associated with, or whether it be church or outside organizations, it's really thinking about the whole person. What we do in the workplace doesn't stop.
Right.
That carries home, and what happens at home then carries into the workplace. So trying to really understand that both of those situations are equally important to a person, and realize that that matters. And so you care about them in their totality. The other thing is, and it kind of goes with our facilities mantra, is we're builders,
right.
know. So, and so with that, we're building teams, we're building up people, we're just building culture.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of that kind of goes hand in hand with kind of my leadership philosophy. And lastly, it's about having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Work that you love will never be a day of work.
Right.
It is just enjoyable, and you come and you do it, and you have a camaraderie with the people that are on your team, and it's just enjoyable.
Right.
So
yeah, no, I like that. Yeah, work you enjoy really isn't work, right? So how do you lead your teams?
Well, I was 28 plus years. I was a tech, and then given into the supervisor role approximately 4+ years. And I understood what the guys wanted being a tech. So from there, I took what we really always wanted was the respect, the responsibility, empowerment to do our job. The gentlemen are professionals, and they don't want to be treated less than a professional. So I'll tell you this, it's the greatest team of techs I've seen in 33 years in this department. These guys are phenomenal. They do great work. So just talking to them, communicating with them, and we have our own dialogue because we're construction workers.
Right.
So we talk, and
right.
the honesty and the trust between us, I think, really took off on us. And knowing that I'm going to help them and I'm going to back them. And I'll give you a funny story. Fox Hollow, MREs were put in the garage area,
right.
and we were asked to get them out. So we go there and we back up the truck, and we couldn't use a forklift because when we opened it up, we found close to 1,000 rats eating everything. So the guys looked at me and I looked at them, and I'm like, all right, let's go, gentlemen. And I was the first one to dig in, and I got these rodents crawling all over me. And the guys looked at me, they're laughing. And then all of a sudden, everybody just jumped in.
Right.
So developing that with the team really says a lot. And I respect every one of them. And that's the biggest factor, is the respect and trust.
I think for certain, when you come from that technician role, you understand that perspective.
Yes.
And then you don't have a problem jumping in either, right?
No, sir.
Because you understand what needs to be done. And so, that helps build that team camaraderie. I kind of talk about, there are very few departments I can actually run from an experience and resume perspective. And so it would be hard for me to jump in to do something like that, but there are ways to do that even outside of that, right?
Yes.
And a way to take care of the team. So
we all like to use our hands in our field. That's what we developed. It's the use of our hands, and that's what we like to build on. And I still love to jump in with the guys, even though I'm a lot older and the body's not what it used to be. And those younger guys sometimes, get out of here. They kick me to the side.
Right.
But Andrew actually witnessed the cafe over at the West Pasco Judicial Center. Andrew and Jesse come over, they bring me over there and they say, this is what we would like to do. And they gave us an idea. Excuse me. So now what I did was I grabbed my techs and I say, gentlemen, about 5 or 6 of them, this is the idea. This is what we'd like to do. And then I give my opinion of what I think it should look like. Then all of a sudden we go around and we get all their opinions, and I turn around and say, okay, gentlemen, it's yours. And Andrew's seen it. It's a beautiful job, from something that was disgusting looking to right now it's modern looking, and the completed job is beautiful. And that's what they do, and they're proud of it. So
I'd like to add on to that story, because I came over and I visited that job site, and one of the technicians there, there was actually there was something that was discovered behind the wall that we were not anticipating, which had to change our plans on that project. And so I said, hey, don't worry about it. We can ignore that, and we don't have to do it that way. And this technician stepped up and said, you don't worry about that. That's what you pay us for. We'll take care of it. We'll make it the way the vision was envisioned, and we'll get it there. And so that kind of leadership in the field is from top to bottom in our organization, and it's just something that I'm super proud of and really happy to see.
Yeah, no, I can appreciate that. And I remember when I first got here, I would ask Eric the question, okay, why do the facilities look the way they do? And my follow on was, okay, that's not the way I want them to look. Right. And I didn't tell them anything else. I just kicked it over to y'all. And now 5 years later, you're starting to see the maturity and the growth and a lot more of the professionalism in the way places we work as opposed to kind of the way it was. Right. And I frankly really appreciate that. It makes, so how and when, as you're going through your career, did you kind of decide, you wanted to lead others, lead a crew, lead a team, lead a department?
So for me, it really started with a grandfather and a dad who kind of poured into me and showed me what hard work looked like, and were leaders in their own right. My grandfather leading the family plumbing business. My dad went and sort of did his own thing, worked in the plumbing business, was a master plumber, but then kind of trailblazed his own path. And so in each of those examples, and there are many, many more, it really then encouraged me to care for others because I could see what they were doing. And then that led to, at early age, joining Scouts, and that leadership focus that's within the Scouting organization was really a kind of a turning point for me to really understand what leadership truly looked like. And so, funny side story, I never got my Eagle Scout. I wish I had, but I was so focused on being senior patrol leader. I was focused on leadership positions within the troop. Being on camp staff. I actually never went to a summer camp as a scout. I always was on staff as a scout. So I never completed merit badges the way you're supposed to. So, but I am proud to say that I'm part of Scouting's Honor Society, the Order of the Arrow. All of that led to a foundation of leadership that then is just built on over years.
Right.
I guess for me, it was family businesses. My father owned a trucking business when I was young, and I always went with him, and he had a couple of employees underneath him, and I always kind of worked with them and kind of took over some of the stuff. Excuse me. Then they bought a Carvel store, and I worked at the Carvel store, and we had employees there, and it was, you had to make the schedules, you had to take care of payroll, you had to take care of all those good things. And then they came down here and they opened up a painting contractor business. And when I came down here, I worked for them there. And that was another, you had a crew that you had to run and so forth. And I was always taught, I hate to say it that way, but always taught to be out in front. And I guess that was the personality I took, was I'm the front guy. And,
yeah, no, and it's amazing. This is our 17th one, right? Yes. And it's I don't want to say surprising, because my story on leadership development is also a parent relative building, right? And so, but it's amazing how many times it's a parent or parents that are involved in the development of the people that lead here at Pasco County, right? And I think that's true everywhere. And then the other thing is, as I went from the military of hundreds of thousands of employees to a 25-person firm, small business, and the mindset in a small business is completely different. And what we've tried to do here is take that family type mindset where you knew everybody, you knew what was going on, you know what's going on with their kids, and bring it here to Pasco, even though we have almost 3,200 employees, because it's the same thing. It's just a different scale. And I was talking to an MPA class last night with USF in going through our where we've been from a culture perspective. And one of the questions was, well, how do you get examples of leaders? And I went back to, well, go back in your history. Parents, coaches, teachers, see the ones that have done good and the ones that have done bad, and learn from that as a base starting point. So yeah, no, that's great. So, and you have kind of both mentioned, and you've kind of answered this question already, but I'll go through it again anyway. So from a leadership perspective, kind of who's been that biggest influence in your life?
So going back to what you said, it really is that kind of legacy. It starts there. I equate it, if you think about the Bible in Hebrews 11, it talks about this kind of who's who of great saints throughout history.
Mm-hmm.
David and Moses, all these ladies and gentlemen who were leaders in their own rights. And then the next chapter, 12 verse 1, calls them this great cloud of witnesses. And so I like to think of that for all the people that have affected me as well. And so it starts with, that legacy. I've got great grandfathers who were Navy captains and then became a police chief in Ocean City, New Jersey, founded the Ocean City Beach Patrol. My other side of the family, great grandfather immigrated from Ireland, started a plumbing company, and that plumbing company still exists in sort of an iteration in the family to this day. So it's really that, and then it's the people that pour into you throughout your entire life. Like I said, scouts, church leaders, community leaders, work leaders. All of those people throughout time have been a mold and an influence on me.
Right.
It would be a laundry list if I were to name names.
Right.
Well, for me, of course, it started with the parents,
Right.
and my other half, Michelena, who is a very strong woman, been through a lot in her life. Andrew knows about it, and I prefer not to mention it, but very strong. She big influence, and then really for me, it's watching people, seeing how people treat people, watching that the people that treat people bad, watching that confrontation develop, and then the people that treat people good, watching how those people blossom and they want to help and it affects them in a different manner. I like watching people and how they interact with each other, and that teaches you that it's better to be nice and respectful, and you'll get more accomplished than being nasty and demanding,
Right.
in my opinion.
Right.
And then I did a lot of coaching with baseball.
Okay.
From Little League, my sons did the Dixie League right on up through, and then I was a high school head coach for Nature Coast for a couple of years. Took the kids to the World Series of Dixie, which was a great thing. But watching the way the kids, all the different personalities of the young men, and then the hardest part was the parents,
Right.
dealing with the parents. You had to learn how to deal with them. And that was
Right.
an influence on how to deal with people in general. So
Right.
that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, because every parent thinks their kid's the next Babe Ruth or Mickey
Yes, sir.
Mantle or
My child was 5-year all-star. I'm sorry, ma'am, not on this team.
Right. Yeah. That's got to be tough. I've
It
been on
was.
both sides of that, as a coach, as a
Yeah.
kid playing, and as a parent watching my kids play.
Yes.
So that's a lot of respect for those youth coaches out there that do that.
It's tough.
So
High school's worse.
I can
Nothing personal.
I can only imagine.
It is.
I appreciate my dad he grew up Fort Pierce playing baseball, won a state championship, playing baseball here in Florida. And he could have gone and played. I think he was drafted by the Tigers back when they had 1,000 rounds, right? And but he just out of his infinite wisdom, he decided to go join the Navy. And where I was like, Dad, you could have played baseball, but that's what he decided to do. And yet, he would come to our games, but he wouldn't coach us during the games. We would just get, hey, here's the things you did good. Here's the things you can improve when we're done, right? Not during the game, but when we're done, kind of let us play and do
Right.
the thing while we're out there. So, I really, really, really appreciate that. So as we're thinking through it, and part of this is trying to develop the next set of leaders, right? Ultimately, we'll all be replaced. Somebody will take our place and sit in our seats, and we want them to be successful or more successful than we are, right? That next generation. So as you think through your career and things, what are some lessons about leadership that you'd like to share? And I know, Andrew, you're heavily involved in our leadership development program, but what are some of those that you'd like to share to the people watching or listening?
Yeah. So leadership is a heart matter, first and foremost. You've got to care about people. If you don't care about people, then leadership is not the business for you.
Right.
You have to have a desire to see what's best for them and invest in them and grow with them. And I do mean grow with them, because you are learning just as much from others. As a leader, you have to be open to continual growth for yourself as well. At the same time, a leader is kind of a maintainer of cultural norms. And I'm going to, there's a great reason why Vito is here, because the story that I'm going to tell you about cultural norms, and leadership development, is right here manifest in front of us. Vito had an interaction with another employee in facilities that, at the time I was the acting director. And it caused me to have to maintain a cultural norm boundary. I'll say
He suspended me.
I wrote Vito up.
Had me suspended, and rightfully so.
A boundary was crossed. Now, Vito was not in a supervisory position at that time, but I don't hold grudges. We all make mistakes. Errors are made. But the idea is to create restoration and growth and continual improvement. Eventually, Vito was promoted to a labor supervisor and then a supervisor. And through just the working relationships that we have within our division, in our department, Vito now is the leader of the year for Pasco County. And that that's just a testament to that ideal of maintaining cultural norms, but with an idea toward always investing in people so they continue to grow and succeed.
Right. And maintaining those cultural norms aren't easy, right?
Because tough decisions.
It's very tough decisions. And then we always aren't our best self when we come to work either, right? As leaders. And yet we still have that responsibility to maintain those cultural norms, right? And so, a great story. And redemption is a part of all of our stories, right? Because nobody that works for Pasco County is, error-free. We've all made mistakes. We've all blown stuff, sometimes bigger than others, but, there's not a perfect person out there to hire, right? They don't exist.
Correct.
So Vito?
As far as I look at for leadership skills, I do agree with Andrew about the caring and everything, but I'm going to go a little further is I look at, first off, in an emergency situation, who's cool, calm, and collected? Who's the nervous Nelly? And I look at that because to me, the person that's cool, calm, and collected is going to make a better decision than a person that's going to knee jerk, that's nervous. Second part of it, you look at the person, do they care about people genuinely? And that's part of it. And then their work ethics. How are their work ethics? And that tells me, are they supervisor material or not? That's where that's where I go with this. But I do want to share one more story that Andrew.
The other side of that story?
No, sir. I got a lot of respect for this gentleman. Me and him did not communicate all that well in the beginning. And one day I was going to take a job at the school board and leave the county. I was just done with the county because it wasn't all that pleasant to be here, to be honest with you. Andrew came in and he waved and he stopped and he looks and he walks and he goes, "What's the matter?" I says, "I'm done." He goes, "What do you mean you're done?" I says, "I'm going to take the job at the school board. They offered me the job." He looks at me and he goes, "I wish you would trust in me." And me and this gentleman never really talked before, really at length. He goes, "I wish you would trust in me. Let me, it's going to get better. Everything looks like it's going in the right direction. Trust me." And I says, "Well, I got to think about this, so forth, so forth." He goes, "But if you need to take that job, take it. But I hope you trust in me that we're going to get better." And I thought about that and I'm saying to myself, he didn't tell me just get out.
Right.
He was telling me what he knows without giving me exactly what he knows. And I understand that part of it. So I came back the next day and I trusted him and I stayed with the county. And then from that point on, things just got so much better. And our department, again, under him is, I'll debate it with anybody, is the best department in Pasco County. So anybody's open for debate. Here I am.
Right.
I will be more than happy to.
Yeah, I think my next guests are from Animal Services. So maybe we'll have a debate.
Bring them on.
We got some amazing departments throughout this entire organization.
We do.
And we're just proud to be part of it.
Right.
Yeah. Still the best.
Okay. He's still the best.
I'll try to be the diplomatic one.
So as you're working through in your career where you are today, how do you continue to build those skills, those leadership skills? Because we all need to be improving, right? We all need to keep sharpening the sword. How do you personally continue to build your skills?
Yeah, that idea of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey called it sharpening the saw, and that idea of continually growing yourself emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally, all of that is important. And we do that within the department. We every year have a very healthy training section of our budget that we think through pretty seriously to make sure that we provide that opportunity within the financial resources for our team members. For me personally, it's continual growth. It's being humble enough to know I don't know it all.
Right.
And I need to know more. And I'm going back to right now to get my master's degree. And so that's a piece of that. But another piece of that is continually paying it forward through the leadership development program that I've been involved in for the last 10 years now. And, that's an opportunity. I tell people during our boot camp week of that is a recharge for me. Mm-hmm. Even though I'm pouring myself out as one of the instructors that week, it is a boost for me to see the enthusiasm of young leaders coming up within the organization.
Right. Yeah, and we got a bunch of really good ones.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of really good ones.
For me, it's communication, listening, and learning off of other people's experiences. Helps me to, deal with the team better and care about them, genuinely care about them. A lot of the guys, if they have some issues, we talk, and I talk to some of my team about issues. And I talk with Jesse Benarik, who is our manager, and quote, he is the best manager that you'll ever have. I'm sorry, he is. We got some great people in our organization. Just listening to these type of people and listening to their experiences helps me become better and keep moving along. That's what I believe.
All right. Yeah. And we have a lot of great people everywhere, right?
Yes, sir.
Every time I go to the LDP, and either at the beginning and or at the end, when I get a chance to talk and ask questions, I'm just amazed at the next generation coming up behind us and how more with it they seem to be than I remember myself at the same point, right?
Yes, sir.
Whatever it's 20, 30 years ago. And so it's really, really good. So we've kind of you talked about LDP and you talked about building leaders, but as you specifically look at your teams, how do you develop and raise that next generation of leaders? How are y'all working on that specifically in facilities?
Yeah. So I'll give you generally and then specifically. Right. What I'm looking for when I'm kind of surveying the horizon for future potential leaders is those that are trying to build others up, that are not self-focused, but that are others focused. And so they're the ones that you want to start investing in. And just like Vito said, when the bad things are happening, when we have an emergency, when the chips are down, those that are jumping in first, those are, you keep your eye on those folks. Right. And you start working to grow them and develop them and encourage them to, hey, why don't you take advantage of this course and this class, and then see where things start to continue to grow from there. So it's always this continual encouragement, but then specifically within the department, you do your book of the month club,
right?
And so we've done that here within facilities. We're doing a chapter a month because we sometimes you just got to grow into stuff,
right?
But so we've started that process, and I think that's been beneficial to really start to open my leadership team within the department's eyes to different ideas, different concepts of how leadership is applied and how it can be done to its best.
Right.
Yeah.
I know this sounds like a cop-out, but he actually, as you would say, nailed it. We have a nail award. He actually nailed it. That's basically what we look at is
Right.
everything that he said. So I really can't add much to it.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
sorry.
it's
I wish I
great.
could.
Yeah, well, and I think about it. One of the things I like about books is
Mhm.
you get to see somebody else's how they did things or how they lead and what their thoughts are on leadership or service or whatever that aspect of leadership may be through their eyes. Uh, in every one of those books are things to take away that are great, and there's things like that's not going to work for me. Well, that's what it's all about, right? Because we're all different people, and I can't take the skills that make you great and apply them to me because I may not be able to do that. I have to be who I am, right? And so, we can't fake that because, frankly, people are way too smart for that.
Sometimes it's addition through subtraction.
Right.
Yeah.
And so great. No, really, really good stuff. So, as we kind of had a discussion here for about 30 minutes or so, anything, other wisdom, tools, thoughts that you may want to share with the people who may be listening, watching?
Well, I got two things I'd like to say. First
Sure.
off, as far as the thoughts for the county and everything else, stay with it. This county actually offers you so much. 33 years. When I do retire, I'll be proud of it. I'm proud to be with the county for the 33 years.
Mm-hmm.
The benefits and the people and everything in general it's a great place to be. You wake up in the morning saying, I got to go to work. You don't want to say, I hate going to this job.
Right.
I don't want to. My text, talking with them, the team, we get up in the morning, we have to go to work. I'm okay with it. There's a lot of jokes and a lot of laughter, and Andrew can tell you, he's come down sometimes at lunch, and when he left, he had tears in his eyes from the jokes.
That's very true.
A little crude, but they're funny. And I wanted to touch back on that leadership award. This is my opinion. You take the custodial, you take the grounds, you take to me, the greatest team of techs I've ever worked with. And then you take the support group, Tom Johnson, Jesse Benaric, who I told you my best manager ever, and I will stand on that. Doug Anderson, and then you take Andrew, that give all that support. Then we have the construction renovation crew. We have the real property crew that give you all that support that you need. But there's one other person I have to mention, and I know she's going to be mad at me. When you dial extension 3295, you get a sweet voice on the end of that phone. That's Eileen Dubé. Eileen, without her, none of this would happen because
Right.
she is such a great support coordinator, does so much for us. We call her the backbone of facilities downstairs. And all the techs go to her. She actually keeps me in line because I do have a little bit of a temper once in a while. And she'll be like, and she'll point to me and she'll tell me, and then she talks me down, and I understand where she's going.
Right.
And when I came as a supervisor, we had a little bit of a mess in there, and Eileen just came to facilities, and I sat down with her and we said, we got a long haul. Let's put our heads together. And let me tell you something, that woman is the world. She is facilities. So thank you, Eileen. I appreciate it. I know she's going to be mad at me, but I had to.
No, that's great. No, I
had
really
to.
appreciate that. We none of us can do what we do by ourselves.
No, sir.
Right. I mean, this is not an organization of one. This organization of 3,200 people making it happen across the county, right? From the east to the west. Nobody can do it by themselves. Right. And
speaking from the east to the west. So Vito is speaking as our west side maintenance supervisor. We have the equivalent of Eileen in our central region in Jen, and we have the equivalent of Eileen in our east region in Beth. And all of our team from east to west, and from our construction renovation, our real property and planning, our operations and maintenance teams, they are all amazing. And those team, there is this book, and I have it here as one of my ones that I was going to talk about here as takeaways. I want to leave you with three books that have been impactful to me. The first one I'll mention, I'll go kind of backwards, is this idea of team of teams, written by Stanley McChrystal. And that really helps you to define what it looks like for organizational mastery and helping your different teams and those different cultures to come together as one. Mm-hmm. The next book is really how do you get your head wrapped around what it looks like to have individual contributions that are as impactful as possible. And that really is all about engagement. And then the book I would share with you there is First Break All the Rules.
Right.
That is a superb book. Gallup has used then some of the takeaways out of that book to measure employee performance and engagement, and it just really is it's a really great book. And then finally, for me personally, one of those ideas that help create self-mastery, and there's many, but 7 Habits of Highly Effective People really is a standout for me of setting the ground rules for what it means to care for yourself and care for others, and want to just pour yourself into others.
Right. Yeah, and that's all great books, and I think every one of them's on my bookshelf at some point. Right. It took me a while to read the McChrystal one because I knew some of his personal history in the military, and that kind of took a little away from. But then you read the book, and it's like, man, this is powerful stuff. If you can just implement and integrate some of the stuff that they did across our enterprise, really helps out, which is what we try to do, especially in an activation mode, right? That's one of the reasons why we organize the way we organize in an activation mode, is to kind of follow that kind of a model. Yeah. So, no, really great stuff. I appreciate you both for being here. Now, I'm going to do a lightning round. And,
okay.
Just a few questions, kind of get to know you a little bit more than those questions, and some of them, they're kind of standard because I'm kind of falling into a habit like anybody else and asking them, but I'll move them around a little bit. So, if you could travel one place that you've never been, where would you want to go?
For me, I would love to see Africa.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just an area of the world that is different than what we see. Some of the areas that I've been able to visit, I know this is lightning, but I've been able to visit a little bit in Central America, and just seeing how others live is really impactful. And so I would want to see how others live in other places.
For me, there's a small island right off of the coast of Italy. It's called Sardinia.
Okay.
And we do the exchange students. So we had one from there, and some beautiful pictures of the ocean, and the whole 9 yards. I mean, it looks beautiful. I'd like to go there.
That's a beautiful area of the world.
Yes.
The whole Med, and if I'm not careful, Tambri will hit me about some of the places she visits and has contacts over there. So, dawn or dusk? Morning or evening?
Dusk.
I'm a morning person. I'm a morning.
All right.
Midnight's even better.
Midnight's even better. All right. Well, it takes all kinds, right? So I think I've been several over my course of my time. So, I'm gonna go to the one, The Office or Parks and Rec. Two TV shows.
Neither for me.
Okay.
I'm just not a comedy guy. I don't know. It's I said, hey, work is all about fun, but I don't understand either of those. It's not a thing for me.
Unfortunately, I've never seen either one of them. I'm big into the sports. So give me baseball, football. Give me some game. I'm happy.
Yeah, well, we could. I mean, yesterday's news was number 12 decided that he was done. So
I was hoping for one more.
Yeah, well, there's a lesson to be learned there, right? His comment was, I can't commit to excellence anymore.
Yes.
Right? Not that I'm done playing football. It's that I can't commit to the effort it took to maintain or to get to that level of excellence. So kind of a lesson there for leaders, in that we should always be striving to that. Yes. Right? And so, but that takes work, and sometimes you need breaks. So,
yes, sir.
So of course, it's gone on a little longer than the normal lightning round, but what's your favorite season?
Fall.
Okay. Yeah, fall.
Fall?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we're in Florida, so we don't kind of get a fall, but yeah.
I like that cooler weather around Thanksgiving time.
Growing up playing football in Texas was like, oh, yeah, this kind of sort of seems like fall. Maybe it's a little cool out here. We were on the coast, so not, but.
Yeah. I've got a jack oak in my backyard that reminds me it's fall.
Okay.
And it does drop its leaves. So
Right. Yeah. So, well, and, we just had the 1 week of winter, last week or earlier this week, right? And we're getting right back into summer. So, well, hey, great. I really appreciate this conversation. These are always educational, and I learned stuff from them. I really appreciate it. And so I thank you both, Vito and Andrew, for being here. Appreciate that. And always Always want to shout out to our media relations team who makes this all possible. And then again, thank you for joining us for this episode of Pasco Podcast. I'm Dan Biles, and until the next one.
For more information on Pasco County government, please visit mypasco.net and check us out on Facebook and Twitter.